is a view of the light, a fire burning through the night. Oh, we rise, we shine, we take the fight. Oh, a view of the light.
Hi there.
Oh, sorry. And there I thought I had
Almost
it.
back. There we
Yeah.
are.
Yay!
Hello, one and all, and welcome to another adventure on Spirit Sessions, a View of the Light. And the adventure has already started, as you see. So trying to get this lit as we settle in here. Yerba
There we
Sante,
go.
Sante coming at you. I usually do a whole pre-show little thing. So this is just, a little extra clearance for everyone. We are right in the middle of a wonderful time between Earth Day and Mother's Day and a little beyond, where it's a beautiful time of the divine feminine, I feel. And we've been celebrating that. And there's more to come through when I say divine feminine, divine masculine, inner child, all kinds of things come through. And it's really, really exciting. We've had part one was Carolani and let me go up to
Amber.
the title. Yeah, I had the title for Carolani. Oh yeah, I wrote it really small. She was talking about your creative expression and showing how sometimes that we could still bring it back, definitely, even if it's been suppressed. And this is what the time is for. And then we've had Dr. Amber Milliha-Wolf sharing with us, like from her upcoming book, that we are the next Lemuria out here. And today the excitement continues because we have none other than Lightstar. And we are pre-recording this, but we'll be there with you. And Lightstar is world-renowned multidimensional visionary. She's a frequency architect. Okay, this is amazing stuff. And she is the creator of the magical dimensions and the celestial frequency decks, and so much more. I mean, you've got to go to our website, and all that's in the links. But welcome, Lightstar, welcome.
Welcome to me and to you and to all of us. I'm so happy to be here. I just love these ladies. They are so precious. I know everybody does. And so I'm just really honored. Thank you for having me. Really, truly.
Yeah, so how you been then? Let's catch up since last time.
Well, that's been years.
Yeah,
There's a lot
of products and stuff.
There's a lot that's happened. Yes, I have been, it's interesting. There's been, a span of time in there where, there was like a lot of changes, a lot of shifting, a lot of moving, and we had to move out of the place we were in. And, there was like a lot of turmoil going on with just trying to find a place, and all that stuff was happening. And then we got into this really, really awesome place that we've been in for the last probably 4 years. And it was supposed to be just temporary, but that sort of helped me to settle in. And I always create because I can't not create. It's part of who I am. So, I am a creator being. And I feel like creation is one of my things. So I've been creating, but for the last year, I would say, there's been a shift in my signal. And there's something that changed a lot for me, where I did a video it was probably a while ago now, but I kind of went into what we call the cocoon phase, right? Going into the cocoon because I was like, reevaluating a lot of my life, a lot of what I'm doing, a lot of what I'm putting out, a lot of how I was putting things out. So there was a lot of shifts and changes that are still in place. Like it's still happening for me. But I've kind of moved through some of it to see, what I needed to release, what I needed to let go of, what I need to embrace, and then looking at where I'm going in the, near distant future, whatever. And I think I find this is something that it's not just me going through this, that I find this is happening to a lot of people right now. But that's kind of what I've been going through for this last year. And it's been revealing and all sorts of things. You know, I'm also going through, now you guys are probably more into this than I know about because I'm not an astrologer, but some of you guys know about astrology. I'm going through my second Saturn return. So this has been obviously things coming up, like in your next transition, like what are you going to do? And so I'm looking at some things like that. And some of my astrology also was leading into like a lot of change, like a lot of shifting. In addition to the whole, what was Pluto and Aquarius, you know, I am an Aquarius. So for me,
Okay.
going into my age finally, but yeah,
Yes.
there's been a lot of changes, a lot of shifts. It's all good. I look at it. It's just that some of it, you know, you have to look at like, what are you doing? What do you want to do? And do you still want to be doing certain things that you're doing? You know?
Yeah. Because not everything can go with us, right? You know what I mean? And
yeah, it's like when we go into that caterpillar, you know, you're like reorganizing and everything's changing. So I've been changing some things on my YouTube channel specifically, also like the different kind of signal that I'm putting out. And I have to say too, probably the thing that I'd say the most is that I started to look at like performance, you know, when we have to be on, right? We have to perform for everybody, and like a lot of YouTube channels. And, you know, I found myself in that trap too, where I was like, okay, I got to be on, got to give out all these, you know, all these light language activations for free. And I got to do all this. And then I started to just go, it's exhausting, you know, and that much of it, you know. So I wanted to hone in on the times that I'm really like wanting to do that and put out a special type of message. So my last few videos, besides interview videos that I put out, are that it's more about the message. It's more about and I even said at some level, I'm like I'm not the face, I'm the frequency now, you know, and that's I'm still on here as a face, but I'm not like it was like that, you know?
It's coming through you.
It's a different kind of broadcast. It's a different kind of energy frequency that I'm just shifting into. And I am actually kind of like it. So that's why I had a big block of time where I didn't do any videos. I was just like, I need to take a break, you know, from that. It's just tiring. You guys know, like doing these things. So
it's a new way of doing things now, new energy, you know.
New energy. It is really changed. There's a lot of underlying things that are changing, and I feel that's weaving into all of us really in our own unique ways. So that's kind of what's been going on.
I love that.
I mean, we're always building towards something, right? And all those past experiences build towards a change. You just don't keep building. You change and build. And
you have to. I think if you're listening and tuning into what's really happening, but sometimes when you're like almost forced to do it, where things get stripped away, things are not working out, things just hit walls, and you're kind of like, okay, well, what is it that I need to shift and change and release and let go of that I've been holding on to, or that I'm still doing that isn't really me? I mean, it's me. It's not that it wasn't me. I'm never fake. You know, I don't ever be fake. I'm always authentic and me. But there was a sense of like, I have to. It was almost like obligation, you know, and the sense of obligation that I wanted to, I'm very responsible. So I don't need to have like extra, you know, obligations. But I feel like I had to drop some of that. It was like dropping the trail of, you know, what has been. And probably some of that dovetails into probably the topic of what we're talking about anyways today, is just, you know, is releasing what no longer serves and knowing when to do that and when to move forward. But if you wait, like sometimes you just don't let go, you know, I don't even say the universe, but it's like your whole energy reorganizes itself and you can no longer go back to the things that you used to do. I don't know if you guys ever noticed that, but you know, when you're making these changes, you tend to go a little bit and then you go, oh, well, I want to go back to that because it's familiar and it's comfortable and you want to go back there. And I keep doing that. And then it's just, but then it never works. Or then I have
what's that saying? You can never go home again? You can't because you've changed.
I mean, you can, but you will face a lot of friction if you keep hitting your head against the wall there, and until you say, I can no longer do that anyway, you know, anymore. I have to do it differently.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the big shift that's been happening in I'd say in my life. And it's causing a good thing because it's causing me to look at what are the new products and services that I want to provide for people in the
Yeah.
future. And that's changing as well. And we'll talk about one of the things that's changing, you know, with that, or I finished it. So I was trying to finish it before this and I did. So I can share it later. But that's kind of the shift is really about changing and shifting and not being stuck, you know, not feeling stuck, but just knowing that it's a movement, it's a momentum forward, and everyone is going to have their own, you know, at their own pace. But the more people I talk to right now, the more I see it happening with everyone on some level. And some people are getting it in different areas of their life. Some is career, some is health, some is, you know, relationships, you know, some is like family stuff or whatnot. Like it's happening with or geographical moves, you know, people like feeling like I don't want to be here anymore, you know? And so there's a lot happening with the world, you know, and I think some of that is also coming into our own consciousness. So the collective, you know, the collective field is actually affecting all of us too. That is making us feel a little bit restless. And yet we also feel like, well, one of the videos I first put out, which was a new kind of topic or whatever, it was called identity vertigo. Because I feel like everybody was going through this. You know, what am I doing and where am I? And it's like that, whoa, like whirlwind. So I called it identity vertigo. And it's kind of interesting.
It makes sense.
And then the second one that I did in that, it's like 3 different ones that I'm doing. There's 4, but I haven't done the 4th one yet. But it was identity vertigo. The second one was the great mission blackout. Okay. That's when you feel like your mission just went dark and you're like, what the hell, you know, and you have another mission now. Like, why is it just nothing, like just static? And so I kind of explained that. And then the third one was heart-mind dyslexia, where we have the heart and the mind like conflicting and going through stuff. And so and then the 4th one I'm coming out with, so I won't share that yet because I haven't done it yet. But I have these movements of energy flow that I see happening. And that's kind of the new thing that I wanted to share that. But there are also light languages in them. Like I'm still doing the light language activation, but it's embedded into those messages because I want to share more about what's collectively happening right now. And that's kind of where I'm doing by more way of a frequency message, you know, and that's kind of the new, one of the new ways. So
that brings us right to, I have 3 questions, not all at once, okay, just within the conversation, but about the topic, and you're talking about the collective and all the things. So the first question, when you think of unleashing the voice of the divine feminine, what comes up for you and how has this shaped your work, which, you know, you were sharing with us a lot?
Yeah. What I feel though, that this is what I feel about the divine feminine in terms of that is that it's really more about us resonating higher and us resonating clearer or more clear, whichever is actually correct. I don't know, but it's about resonating that clearer signal because I feel like for a long time we've been sort of just throwing stuff out there, you know, like bing, 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 like that. And now it's about the steadying and the clear signal that we now can clear some of the distortions out of the way. And now we're kind of doing that. So it's really about, for me, I see it's more sovereign intelligence. Okay. It's kind of like we're reclaiming that sovereign intelligence that we already have within us. And I feel like I could say things about divine feminine as specifically in that it's kind of like I see it as the universal translator, you know, the energy that's the universal translator. And I do feel like it's about really the high frequency precision. It's not necessarily really about, I feel, you know, goddess, priestess, all of that anymore. Like in my view, I have a slightly different view on this whole thing. Okay. But I want to share it because
Yeah.
It's something that I feel is important, and I feel that we sometimes lose sight of it. Okay. Because when we get down here in our human physical bodies, right, we're here now, and now we're getting into labeling and archetyping, right? But when we are in a soul form, when we're in our soul wisp, I call it a wisp
Oh, I love
sometimes.
that.
Your soul wisp. Okay. When you're in that space and that type of energy, there is wholeness. Okay. There's a sense of wholeness. We don't label divine feminine, divine masculine. We only do that when we get down here.
Right.
And we start to, and part of that is necessary because we need to like get our bearings and like understand it. And so I feel like some of it is that it's almost like, labeling labeling the soul or whatever, or labeling it as feminine or masculine in any way, shape, or form is kind of like painting a rainbow with only two colors. Okay. Think of that.
Yeah.
It's like two colors. That's it. Really? There's a whole spectrum of the rainbow. So why are we like limiting it, in other words? And so I feel like there's an energy that's, there is something to be said about, the frequencies of the divine feminine and divine and masculine, but it's not a gendered thing at all, and I feel like I think that's like a misnomer or something. So, for me, I've kind of never really separated it. And so throughout my entire work, like all the work I put into, it's got both in it.
Right.
And I'm both in it. We all have both in it, but it's not really, I don't think, a label. It's more about just, because if you think about it this way, and I was thinking about this the other day too, and I was like, wow, that's true. When you think about the qualities, what most people think about as the divine feminine, let's just say. So the qualities are loving, nurturing, receiving, holding, whatever else you can think of, right? All those words. And you guys, like, are there any others that you would say, just because I'm going to give an analogy here? Is there any else that you can say of like qualities of what you think the divine feminine is?
Well, I think like she defends like her children and gathers.
Gathering, defensive. Okay. Or defending,
Healing.
Protecting, well, shielding. Okay. So now take all those qualities and apply them to divine masculine.
Yeah.
It's the same.
Yeah.
That it's the same because we see men that also have those qualities.
Right.
So it's not a divine masculine or a divine feminine thing. It's just in my own download that I was getting. It was like, it's all the same. We're just naming it that way. But even for us saying we have divine masculine and feminine within us, I mean, yes, we do have that, but it's not separate. It's not a separate thing. And so, that's where I feel like when we get into the archetypes and those are helpful to understand them or to understand them, trying to change that word from understand to understand.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
But when we understand that, then we can see it from a different perspective, a different vantage point. And then, and I guess that's where I feel we're also going with it too, is that for a while we really had to do some labeling and really kind of get that feeling of what does that mean to be in your feminine voice? What does that mean to actually, speak it and say it and use your voice, the voice energies.
Yeah.
And I think that was true for us to get that out. We had to start speaking and voicing, from our cultural and past, of what we've seen, how it's been suppressed. Okay. But it's not necessarily the divine feminine that's been suppressed. I would counter that and say it's the frequency energy of that's been suppressed. Okay. And then the female genders have just been the one that's been experiencing it.
All right. That makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's the overall frequency.
That whole energy. Yeah.
The whole energy that was love, caring, kindness, intuitive. Okay. Intuitive, which is also men have that too. So why are we saying it's just feminine? No, because men are loving, men hold space, men are like able to, receive and all of that too. So it's really the whole thing. The energy that was suppressed didn't matter if it was feminine or masculine. It's just the whole energy has been being just suppressed by an over dominating, I guess if you want to call it masculine, but it was just an over dominating of that wholeness and that unity field that has been trying to distort the unity field, really. So I'm looking at it from a totally different vantage point. And this is not by any means saying that no one should be into the divine feminine or the divine masculine, because no, I mean, there's things that you go through with that to learn
Yeah.
and to grow. It's an evolution.
Yeah.
I'm just feeling like my evolution with it is seeing it more whole, like seeing it as the higher soul wisp frequency that we're just now embodying and embracing. Does that make
I
sense?
love that. No, I do. I love this.
Yeah.
And it does bring us to our next question, because what we're saying is it's transforming, it's moving, it's coming back to the oneness, instead of, the labels were fine for a time,
For the
so
time
we
that
could
needed
see and
them.
understand and stuff.
Yeah.
And now we're moving on. So the second question then, what's awakening and the divine feminine in 2026? So I think we're already getting that.
Yeah, we're moving into that. And I do, that's where I feel it's evolving. But I also feel we're moving out of it's like we're moving out of the end of what I said, the gendered spirituality. Okay. The gendered spirituality. It's no longer really about gender. It's no longer about that. It's really moving into more functional architecture than it is anything else. And I mean, if you have to look at divine masculine and divine feminine in a way, like as a visual, if you take like a octahedron, you know what an octahedron looks like, the geometry shape of an octahedron, and then say that's the divine masculine, let's just say, if you want a visual. And then the interior is the divine feminine, that provides the glow. So the exterior is providing structure, the interior is providing the glow, but they're not separate things. They're cohesively the same, and one can't function without the other. And so I feel like that's another, analogy where we're going into this new kind of way. So I'd say we're really more, this is what I think, is that we're awakening. I'm in the priestess position here. I don't know. I don't even really consider myself as priestess, but if I'm in this position where I feel it's moving more into the architectural priestess, more than it's like moving into architects of light, and not so much as like goddess priestess, necessarily. That's just where I feel it's going. The other thing I feel is that I feel people are getting, it's like the end of performative spirituality, which is what I was talking about earlier, where there's this feeling of that we have to perform, and even think about it in feminine, roles, if you want to, where the mother, feeling like she has to perform, for everything and everyone. She's to be there for everybody and everyone. And that's just burnout, right? We've just learned that doesn't work, even in that mother phase. Like, it's just like, that is just going to burn you out like crazy. So you can't be there for everybody and everyone, like all the time. You have to, obviously take care of yourself and not overperform in your, whatever your role is, so that's just one thing. But it's really about stop trying to fix our feminine side like it's broken. You know what I mean? I feel like we've done a lot of that, looking at it like it's broken and we have to fix it. Whereas if we're going into the future stance of that, it's not broken. We're not broken. We never were. All we're doing is like inhabiting our own architecture that we were, and that
we may have been suppressed. That energy may have been suppressed, or trying to
on the planet
tamp down, not to let it fully express.
The energy of, and again, masculine and feminine, although the energy was suppression, even in the masculine, if you want to say masculine, that love, that intuitive way, right? Like, they were never allowed to have their intuition. They're never allowed to have their caring side or any of that stuff come out. So all of that stuff has been suppressed.
And then during times of war, what is it? It's usually the men, and they have to turn off all their feelings.
Yeah, they have to shut off all their, just
go out there, leave their family. It's like, and then that passes down to generations.
And these roles have just been so distorted. And I feel like that's where it's just a lot of distortion. I'm not saying there's nothing, I'm not putting it down in terms of like, like females come in with, we have a womb. Well, men don't. So there's obviously a difference there, right? We carry that creative energy, and to be able to, give birth, and to give birth to a lot of things. So there are different, we have physical structures that are different, right? We're not generally as strong, in terms of masculine and the physiology. So there are some shifts but that's gender stuff. That's gender stuff. It's a different thing when we're talking about the energies and the frequencies, like from the soul wisp part of it. It's not the same thing as the gender. So, but because of the gender thing, we have had the suppression, and we have had the things that we have all had to deal with, masculine and feminine. So I feel like that's in play. Okay. Another thing, there's a lot of things, and this is not just 2026, by the way. I feel this is like going past that. It's not like in 1 year, all this stuff's going to happen. I see it as like a progression, over a span, maybe it's a few years, maybe it's like, as people start to come into this new way of thinking of it, and coming out of more like the wounded, feminine energy, and into a whole different way of looking at it. So there's a lot of things. Yeah, it's not so much the wounded feminine, but it's more about the embodiment of the sovereign, and regardless of what gender and energy it is. And it's even when we say this, it's almost like we're stepping into radical presence. That's another way I want to put it. Radical presence, regardless if you're male or female. We're going into this like place where we need to stand in our sovereignty really strongly of who we are, why we're here, how we treat other people, how we treat beings on the planet, how we treat the planet itself, how we treat our children, how do we treat our parents, all sorts of things, despite all of the shit that you had to deal with when you were in, your parents, and you had to get through that stuff, like all this, the parental stuff. If you strip all of that away, a lot of times people are like, you have to look at it from the higher, that they don't know any different, they're going through their own, ancestral crap, the same as everybody has to go through. Doesn't diminish it, but it's just, at some point, you have to drop the story once you've cleared, and gone through your stuff. You can't carry that stuff for years and years and years and years and years.
You can't use it as an excuse anymore.
No more excuse.
Once you've dealt with it, you deal with it, and you leave those suitcases on the platform and walk on the train.
I think our generation was a little bit more into the like wounded thing where you just circle around in it and you just keep stewing in it and you keep going over and over and over. And, it's like you're going to a therapist and it's like going there for 10 years. And then you come out and like, did you get anywhere by talking about it for 10 years? No. Okay. Sometimes it just requires you to drop the story, completely.
Yes.
And this is with all of this stuff that we're talking about, it's so crucial. That is like one of the most important things, I think, with just healing in general is, regardless if it's healing wounds from whatever, it's just about, you have to deal with it. Don't ignore it, go through the process, but then drop the story afterwards, because it will just echo throughout everything and everyone that you come in contact with, and your whole life ends up being that. So
that really, really, really does take us to the next question I had when you're thinking about, as we're going about and we're embodying this new way, because I think at some levels we could all feel it, and it's up to how much permission we give ourselves to play in this new energy and discover what it means within us. But what is one or two practices or perspectives that you recommend to help people embody their voice of the feminine, or to embody our next movement is probably what I really mean.
Well, I will say, if you are looking at it as though you're in the stage of wanting to embody the voice of the feminine, let's just say if you are in that state, because there's a lot of people that are, so like I said, I'm not negating it, but if you're in that state and you're wanting to do that, I will say one thing is activating literally the voice, okay? Because the voice was the part that a lot of suppression. I mean, we would say probably 85 to 95% or 90% of women, gendered women, physically have felt that suppression in our voice, either by shut down or, haven't spoken up or being assertive. So I feel that is something to look at. And how I would say one way to do that is get some crystal bowls. Okay. Get some crystal bowls and you just sit in a place, whatever, and it doesn't matter. Just sit wherever you can and play your crystal bowl. And then I want you to belt out your tone with the crystal bowl. So you're toning along with the crystal bowl. Doesn't matter how you sound. Actually, it will help you if you want to, to get into tune with the crystal bowl. It actually helps to tune your voice. But what it does is it activates the throat chakra in a way that isn't speaking yet. You're just toning, but it will activate the throat chakra voice to start to come alive again, because it maybe had been dormant for a long time. This happened to me. I will share this as my own personal thing, because I had been very quiet as a child and also into my later years. And I had not activated that voice. I mean, yes, I was speaking, doing things, but I had not really activated the voice like I am now. And I did it initially because I was doing some toning, like for my light language activations, but I also noticed that it was activating my voice. And actually, even when I started doing it, I felt my voice kind of like choking up, like I had to stop for a while because it felt like it was, oh my God, it was bringing up some stuff. So it may do that if you've had suppression, if you've had any kind of throat, concern, those things will kind of come up when you do that. But if you do that, it starts to open the voice. So I think that's one of the things that you can do. The other thing I would suggest is, this is just me, okay? Because this is how I am, but humor, okay?
Yes.
The high frequency spark of humor is the way to get through pretty much everything. And I live my life like that. I try to, because whenever I get into that place of like, oh my gosh, how do I do this or whatever, I have to get something to like laugh out loud, literally, to make myself like literally, again, voice, but laughing and making a joke out of everything. Not in a bad way,
Yeah.
but like making light of it. So it's really important. And it's almost like, giving yourself that levity in life is going to allow you to see your issues and everything else from a totally different perspective. So I think that's important. And then another thing too is to do what I call this signal integrity audit. Okay. So you want to audit yourself, meaning every time you are about to make some decision or something is like you're feeling suppressed or you're feeling something, you stop and do an audit and you just say, is this we call it logic loops. Like, am I in a logic loop where I'm in this 3D kind of like logic thing going up, like this, like logic loop. Or am I really like reflecting about what's going on at the heart, here of it? Or am I coming from that place? Am I coming from my, true heart space? Am I coming from that place? Or am I just coming from up here? Even with the divine feminine stuff, it's still the same. Sometimes you're coming from this place, and you have to be coming from the soul place, instead of that. So I think doing an audit, and you can do that really quickly, like really quick, like stop yourself whenever you see yourself going into that sort of distortion or I don't know, or confusion or the identity vertigo we're talking about. You just stop and say, where's my signal? Okay. What am I emanating? Am I in that 3D logic loop? Am I in my head, going on it? Or is it something else? Am I in that warmth, place where I'm coming from that? So, and you shift into that place immediately if you're not, obviously. So that's really helpful. And two, I think I'd also say when you're making decisions, you have to actually say, what makes you feel thin or pixelated in the world? And then what makes you feel a little scared to move into because it's new and it's not, it's not different. So when you're making those decisions, you almost say, it's like you're the ultimate embodied yes. When you make this decision, you make it with full embodiment you make your ultimate body yes, and get used to shifting into those types of decision-making processes will also empower you and make you feel a stronger in resonating in those decisions. Sometimes when we make the decisions and we're kind of like wispy with it, we're like,
Oh,
right. And I know sometimes we have to do that for a while, but ultimately, the more you get into full embodied yes or full embodied no, depending on what it is, then that also strengthens, I feel, within the wholeness of the divine masculine and the divine feminine together, but also the divine females out there who feel that, literally disempowerment or wishy-washiness, as we hear. So it's about, that frequency integrity, and then just looking at it from making a choice and not being wishy-washy. That doesn't really get you too many places when you do that.
It takes too much energy.
It's very stressful too to have to go through that, because you're carrying both energies at that point. You have to release one. It is analogous to like if you're holding on to a cliff on one side on your hand, and then your feet are like hanging on to the other side of the cliff and you're stretched out in the middle. You got to release one side or the other. Otherwise, you can't sustain that. So one side's going to have to go. You're going to have to say yes or no, And so those are some things that I would recommend, I feel, for people to embody and get into the energy field of.
Yeah. Those are beautiful, beautiful points. I love them all. Yeah. You brought so many through. 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Well, there's much more than that, but I mean, those are
know.
just some things that I can say to do that.
It's just here we are older, and it's kind of neat to me how we can look back like, okay, I was born in the 60s and everything was still black and white. No, it was just beginning to start to get color. And look at the way we were treated as children, the way we were treated as kids, and then looking my school years and the cartoons compared to the school years of my children. And then now there's the grandchildren, and looking at how all of this has gone all along. And it's beautiful. It's sad to see some of it, but a lot of it's really beautiful. How the point you were making, how each generation is not professionally trained to raise the next one. Really, we're all still going through our things and doing our best. And in that's a rich field for growth and all kinds of things, when you
I always say, you know what, if you look at it as though you spend, 40 years of your life getting kind of like messed up from your childhood or whatever, and then you spend the next 40 years unraveling it all. I don't feel that we should be doing that anymore. Like, that's another thing. If in the second question, like we need to be changing that, shift that, because it's like gotten us to be, we live most of our life and we didn't even really live a life. It's like
all in retrospect, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's a great place to live it from, because everything we could change, but it's not real. So
yeah, we have to move out of that space of us having to spend so much time with our processes. I think maybe the younger generations may have an easier time of that, coming in and not spending as much time. I mean, it's not like you're cutting corners. And if you are, then that's not a good thing either, because you kind of have to go through it. But I mean, if you are going to cut corners, but I feel like all of us have to go through stuff to some extent. It's just that we have to shorten the gap of time in between those to make it so that we are not spending our whole entire span of our life here on planet Earth, in turmoil and trauma.
Trying to undo the first 15 or 20 years, Yeah.
It's not what we came here for, really. I mean, we came here for some lessons, yes, but I think our lessons, when we say like, what did we come here for? Our lessons, we kind of misinterpreted like what our actual lessons are supposed to be like, or we took it too seriously, and not enough of the learn the lesson and move on, but enjoy life in the same time, and then go through it fluidly. Like we did, again, come from that generation that when we're in that space of healing, it has to be hard, right? That's why I said the thing that was ending was the frequency fatigue, of just having to go through all this, dredging it out. And instead of us doing it more on a level of not that it has to be so hard, so difficult, so challenging. And that's where I feel the shift is also happening, where things could be easier, more fluid, more flowing. And you could include, more fun. You could have your healing be actually a fun experience rather than not. And I know that's not saying it like if you have a physical ailment and you're like, oh, that's not fun, right? You're dealing with stuff.
Right. Yeah.
But even with that, if you really look at what a physical ailment is, it's the accumulation of all of the different thought processes and emotions that were going on for years prior to the onset of that particular issue. And so once you actually realize that, then it's a little easier to kind of clear some of that stuff out because you can see where you've been. But neither here nor there. It is a process we all have to go through, but we don't have to spend eternity or a lifetime, doing all of this where it's so hard and so challenging and so difficult. That's where the humor comes in. That's where the lightness comes in. That's where the fun comes in. That's where the fairy energy comes in.
Yes.
The sparkles. We need the sparkles, right? We need the fairies throwing their fairy dust all over our issues, right? Like just imagine a little fairy going bing, with just like her little fairy dust. And that can make everything a lot lighter. And in and of itself, that ends up healing. So,
yeah. So it's our perceptions of what we're going through that really seem to be more wounding than anything kind of.
Yeah, if we can shift that from our healing doesn't have to be so hard.
Yeah.
And our healing is actually a process to expand us into a greater place within ourselves. Because how many times everybody out there who has done any healing, how many times you've been out there doing your healing and when you look back and you go, wow, I grew so much from that. So if you can look at that, then it's going to be a growth thing. You just know. I think those of us that have gone through enough of the healing phases, you get to a point where you're like, I get it. I know it's going to be a better thing. If you're going through it for the very first time, maybe you don't have that perspective, but we're all telling you, yes, that does happen. When you go through healing and then you look back and go, wow, I just grew so much. I just changed so much. So just know if you're going through something for the very first time on this planet, you're going to grow immensely from that. And just
that's what we're here to tell you.
Yeah.
It helps. Hear that one. It's true. All that resistance that we put into things. What a waste of energy. There's so much more fun to be had.
I know, right?
Yeah.
We have to lighten it up somehow.
So tell us what you're going to be doing. What's your new projects on and what's going on?
So I am going to, I think I'm going to be doing a lot of different things, but I'm not entirely, I know I'm coming out with some new types of sessions that are going to be something different than what I've been doing. They may or may not be like one-on-one type of sessions, but they are going to be more precise, like quicker type of transmission reports where I will tune into people's biofields and even into Akashic record stuff and like all different things. But it's going to be like, so it'll be easier for people just to have it. And, but I feel I'm also going, so those are some of the new sessions, and then product wise, I don't know, I might create, I'm not sure if I'm going to do more of these or not, but I did just finish my one children's book. That's my, so this is, I have it right here. I'm going to show you. I know it's hard to see it on here.
I'll put it up full there.
Look at that.
It's backwards because of, the.
Oh no, you're right.
I see it right. It says Moonstar.
It's backwards on my end, but
Moonstars.
This is called Moonstars Crystal Insight, and it's trusting your inner magic. Okay.
Oh, how exciting.
So this is like now I have it in a tangible form, but I also have it in a digital bundle where you get, and it's a full cinematic digital bundle where I created a whole video MP4 file of it and it's narrated by me, and it's also got animated. Like I made it animated.
Oh,
So
cool.
it's the storybook. And so it is a
Awesome.
children's storybook. I'll show you some of the pages if this will let me, but they're like, you know, it's full color, obviously. And
Yeah,
these
beautiful.
pages, and it's all okay. So there's Moonstar.
I remember her. Yeah.
Yeah, she was the original. This is my original image of Moonstar, which I have in the digital bundle. It'll come with the original image of Moonstar, and then with the digital version. And it also comes with a PDF file as well. So it's a digital pack. That's the digital bundle. But she started it all. And so there's it's the story of her. There's a lot of interesting things that happen in here, but it is a message of intuition, of trusting your intuition. That's kind of what the goal was in the book, was just to help. It's actually for children, obviously, but it's for adults too, because the story is a powerful message. And so we see what she goes through, you know, in the story of her. And she has her trusty Night Shadow, who is her Black Panther. That's Night Shadow, and he's in pretty much everything too. So this is the new thing that I did. It took me a long time to create this, to be honest. It was a lot of work. And I didn't think it would be, because it's a storybook. But that's something I wanted. The reason why I did this is because I wanted to have something for the new generation, you know, coming in, that just was more like, not like Jack ran over the hill or something. And I wanted it to have like a spiritual message. And it does. It's a powerful message in here to help the little ones and the inner child within all of us to trust your intuition. And that's what the whole like story is about. And trust we call it trust the tingle in your wings. That's kind of the thing about it that helps. So like she goes through this process of like the dark, great forgetting that comes in, the shadows come in, and her wings tingle whenever she gets energy, and then she remembers, and then she goes through this process, and Night Shadow helps her to remember that. And it's just a really great story. So that's awesome. But I might do some more of that. I'm not sure.
And that'll help the little ones who are sparking and feeling, and nobody around them kind of quite cued into it or recognize it. And they're going to see this like, right there, this is what it is.
And I know I know I created this because I also had a story that I remembered when I was very young, and it was about a soul. I don't even remember the book name, but it was about a soul, and I was fascinated with that. So for me, I also feel like, because I was fascinated with that, and I remember how much it meant to me, it was like almost the first spark of my intuition, my own like journey with the soul and the spiritual interest. So that's why I felt like I was kind of inspired to do that. And I wanted to have just any child or any parent, that would love to have this, and it's a great keepsake, and it's a great gift, too, because it's like, comes in tangible form also, as well as the digital, which the cinematic version is great with the video. But all of that took me a while. So, but I just finished it. So it is available on my website. And then I'll be doing some more different types of products. Like I have, different, I don't know if I'm going to be doing more bundles, but like I have a ton already of like digital downloads, that people can purchase from all different kinds of things that can help them with various things. And also some music, that I'm also going to be creating probably some different kinds of music and activation and toning and all of that. And I have obviously some new types of videos that are going to be coming out with my YouTube stuff as well. YouTube channel, and the new things I'll be doing. And I know there's things coming too that I'm not even mentioning because I haven't even delved into them yet. Different kinds of art as well that I'm gonna. I haven't done as much art this lately because I know I will have a third Oracle deck eventually. I mean, that is in the process. It's just I haven't worked on it for a while. I actually have a lot of the cards done, but I have still a lot more to go. And then if I have to go through Schiffer Publishing, so it'll probably take them like a year before it even comes out, even when I am done. So that's chipping away at it. And So yeah, I have a lot of things on the plate, a lot of shifting and changing things that I'll be putting out differently. And but
Are you
for the
sticking
moment,
close to home, or are you going on the out on the field?
pardon?
Do you stick close to home, or do you do
Oh,
workshops out in the field?
mostly here, mostly online. At the moment, I am not doing. I don't really have like workshops or anything like that. Most of the stuff I do is online, and but you know, there's a lot of you know, different types of things like this that I end up doing depending on, you know, what it is. Those are always kind of there. Or not sometimes. I took a year where it didn't have any. So, you know, there's times where there's none, and then there's times where there's 5. Like I have, you know, several of them actually on the same weekend as this thing is happening. There's another one I'm doing that same weekend, that both Saturday and Sunday. So it's like I'll just crammed into one weekend. So there's a lot of different things that I'm going to be doing, but I am still in that. I'm kind of still in the cocoon, but not really. I'm like sort of in that phase where I'm coming out of it, you know, where I'm not fully ready like yet, but I'm
You're hanging on the cocoon and just hanging there.
Drying
like
the wings.
one of my wings is like poking out, you know, from still inside of the cocoon, you know, is kind of how it is. And so there's a lot of things I'll be doing in that way, but things more to come, right? So yeah, should I do light language? Do we have time?
We do. We'd love you.
Okay. Yeah, because I really wanted to do that. I mean, not for performance sake, but just because I felt like, you know, I felt that was important to do, you know, on here as well, to give people some. And for those of you guys that don't know what light language is, now most people probably do by now, but if you don't know what it is, it's an energy frequency language. So it's not really to be addressed from your logical mind. You got to put the mind off to the side and then just allow the actual energies to come in. It's like a language of the soul, if you can think of it that way. Whatever comes for you. If you get words from it, great, like interpretations, but you don't have to worry about trying to figure out what it's meaning. It's really more of something, feeling it in your embodied state will be the best way, and just tuning in. But what I feel wants to come forth is like, since we're talking about all of this, like the you know, divine feminine, but the divine wholeness. Okay, I'm just gonna be calling it divine wholeness now. Okay, it just came up right now. Okay, so this is the divine wholeness activation too. So we're not really talking about gender. We're not really talking about specific for divine feminine, goddess, priestess, you know, maiden, crone, or elder, or whatever you want to call it, Cronus. That's what I'm calling. But if we call it, you know, whatever we want to call it, is for everyone. It doesn't really matter. And so, but it is to maybe it's more about tuning into that kind of wholeness, where if you're not in that state of wholeness and it's still in that state of like where your identification, you know, and you're labeling and not really sure what that means for you, then just drop all of that just for a minute. You can pick it up when we come back. It's fine. But just for now, just get into divinity, right? Full on divinity. I don't know what's going to come forth. I don't prepare these things. Okay. So when I do light language on here, it's just whatever. So it might go in from one to the other, just depending on what's coming through. But that's what I'm tuning into right now for everyone that's on here, as don't even look at it as like a healing. It's really more of a frequency encodement that's coming your way, like a little packet, you know, little frequency packet. So with everybody, just close your eyes and tune in to your own soul, your own energy field within yourself, within your body. Just take a nice couple of deep breaths inhaling through the nose, and then slowly exhaling out and breathing out all the stress and all the tension, all the to-do lists, everything you feel you have to do or haven't done. Just let it dissipate, and being present as you breathe in and breathe out, and being very present in your body right now, being in receptive mode. And just let's see what comes through here. Ana Tishara Elum Kai Vira Solumen Kai Tiara Solkai, Emkaya Noshara, Shantayas, Umla, Didasun Hanir, Sharia Emlai Kenai, Tiara Sol Hal Kai Shananayas, Veshuves Vel Luma Lai, Lumanasa Tiara, Kolum Kale, Shalalandira, Sundaromara Unchali, Sorakai Vira, Eshtakai, Kailem. Duroshondare kele, sandere mekela, kuroshondar marquis, variandare heshtirarandare kerian, sara. Urumarakai ush, uturumakai is tariarenitire, urondarki stariarindi, ukuvrande, isatani, disakurukuti, stariorumagaris, urujindari oroko rondare kera, husa hita, uromakarish, arenteri itisur, or artir et ekarnaras, surashut, uromakayuroma, iturvaki divsondaravai tukurum, usainde itir naratekur urunchais, sidara noru kurumbagari shandarayarandas, urvarateris, urutaris, Arkarishon, Nisariti, Urubuku Aran Ares, Uruku Eshti, Ruku Sharira. Etanta Santa, Saratensa, Saratoso, Toroshondo Kur Unshai. Disse Senatarsat, Aratan Arakon, Arishur Nateri Asan. Wai Kaina, Wine Charamoy, Wendy, Wanodurumai, Wine Chi. Sun Urunkai in Suya Shingoya Ko Unkoya and Taimi, why. Winshiwa, Darin so quiente, Woko Shokoyem him, Kaiwu, Ushina, Ushanda, Delegurun Dari, Susundo Shokoem, Merasari, Miyashuru Ufashi, Shani, Kariatoro Koshon, Mirurko. Orosharir anar ala shira nari karimas. Undura sharuru far anidi kar iratas. Sigidinias ukreshen akademiter hakadias ukvrandi ki karir hanti sukurushaku karik. Sariandi hidromari shito kuruto. Uraran tarsa vimonatari hishoko. Mea sabendiha Everybody breathe in and just feel the energies and the frequencies coming into your body, soaking in, allowing the frequencies to do what they want to within your body, within your field, bringing yourself into full coherence at this time. Your signal is clear, your signal is clean, you are in coherence. And you can feel that within your body all the way down from your head to your toes, all the way grounded and centered into earth, and also connected to the divine wholeness that you already are, all of you within. That soul spark within you, that creator divine spark within you is whole, complete. And now we breathe into that and just let it be. And so it is.
So it is. That was so powerful.
That was like a full lattice recalibration for everybody. That's what I felt what came in. Like I was literally, there was a lot of happening there for all of you guys that are going to be, getting this intuitively. Just, what's happening within your own fields is going to be different for everybody. But that just was like a full, like I said, it felt like a full lattice recalibration for everybody's lattice.
Oh, I love
Everyone's
that.
frequency. And I felt like there was also some restructuring going on with it energetically for everyone as well. Like there was some restructurization of the lattices. That's what I mean when we say lattice. It's almost like you know, an energy field or a force. It could be like a grid for some people. It could look differently, but they're like a lattice. Like you look at a lattice work where it has that, or like Celtic weave, you know, like that kind of energy, but it's around us that allows us to you know, be our architecture, our own architecture, in other words, too. And that's what it was doing. There was like fine tuning the frequencies so that everyone's architecture could be a little more solid, a little more coherent, and fine tuning it. And so that's why there was a lot of different things going on. I didn't really anticipate the toning to come in at the end, but that's apparently, and I don't know how it came across with the microphone.
Beautiful.
It didn't even fade. It was
Okay.
perfect.
Sometimes
It-
it echoes off of whatever.
No, it was like, it
So-
just seamless. It was beautiful.
It was like, well, really, that's the angelic realms usually that want to come through. A little bit of Andromedan in that angelic. I know it sounds weird, but there was angelic and then some Andromedan in those toning. But it was really coming in at the end to really clear and make that coherent, almost like a crystalline type of signal that would come in and just drop in for everybody to, you know, have it, you know, be in their bodies, you know, and feel it. I think people sometimes feel more the tones than they do the light language. But there was many different languages going in there because it was like a weave. It was like a galactic weave of
seemed like
various
there were
languages.
different phrases and
different. I would say there was Arcturian. I felt coming in, especially when I was doing some of the when they were doing some kind of like lattice reweaving. That was feeling like it was Arcturian energy. And there was this one energy that came in at the beginning to start it off, which was, I call it this, I call it the Illuvian light language. I don't really have another way to say it, but that's just kind of like where it feels like it is. It's like it was coming in like that at the very beginning part was kind of Illuvian. And then it sort of rolled into some of the others and some of the other frequencies. Little bit of Lyran in there as well that I was feeling came in as well. And so there was a lot of galactic frequencies coming in along with angelic today. You know, that's kind of like, I guess
I can't wait to re-listen to it again. And
yeah,
our listeners can listen to it again on the podcast and when they're able to totally concentrate. So just skip ahead. Listen to it again.
With my light languages, I don't usually do long in terms of like sitting there for half hour doing light language like some people do on videos that I see, you know, doing light language, because I feel like that's just oversaturation. It's like mine are like little packets that are potent, you know, so I don't need to give much, and I don't really want to, because that overwhelms people, you know, in their systems. You know, our bodies can handle a lot, but sometimes you got to do it in little packets so that it can sink in, you know, rather than like a long half hour.
Right.
That's just overkill. But I feel like that's just me, you know. I mean, I've always been that way, even from the very beginning, doing light languages on my YouTube channel all the way. So I still have like over 200 activations on there, which you can also watch on YouTube. But it was like, I've always kind of done them in like, I speak about the topic and then I do a brief, because they are little packets, you know, rather than the whole thing. It's more of a, you know, frequency anchor. You know, these are anchors now. I mean, maybe they were more like, that's another shift, you know, where it's like, it was like frequency awakenings and stuff, but now it's like frequency anchors, because my message is shifting. Where this goes into what we were talking about before, is how I'm shifting, is that really my message is shifting to the signal and how we have to be really conscious of our signal and have it be clean and clear. And the more clear and clean we are, the better that we're going to come across to everybody else, as well as to ourselves internally, and to, you know, the state of coherence. That's just what I feel we're walking into in the next, you know, few years to longer, you know, but just really sinking into our own broadcast, That's the biggest message, I'd say, for the biggest question, okay? For everyone to ask themselves, what am I broadcasting? Think of yourself as a radio tower, a crystal radio tower. And what are you broadcasting? Are you broadcasting from the 3D perspective, or are you broadcasting from, 5D, 6D,
Yeah.
7D, 12D, whatever D, dimension? You have to know, where are you broadcasting from? And if you're broadcasting from 2D, we really need to raise the frequency higher, which is what we were talking about in the beginning. Raise it higher, raise your frequency a lot higher so that your signal can be cleaner and your broadcast can go out and be heard better, And I'm trying to do this. I'm doing this myself. So this is not like me saying it, but I know that my signal is shifting and it's changing, and I'm noticing how it's changing from what it was to what it is now, and what I, will be putting forth. And so that's kind of my message really overall, since I feel it's vital for us we can see in the world how incoherent it is right now. If you just look at what's going on, or don't look at what's going on. But I mean, I don't watch the news at all, but I don't even watch TV anymore. I actually don't, except if it's a movie that we're watching. I don't watch TV anymore whatsoever. I will watch a few things if I'm catching something on YouTube that I want to learn or, need to know about. But I don't even watch TV anymore. I do tap into the news only for the sake of okay, I need to know what they're projecting and what's the story and what are they putting out. But then I just shut it off just so I know, okay, well, and it's funny because if I stopped watching it altogether, okay, many, many years ago, but there were some things I was still watching and I'd catch up on the news just to see. Now it's I notice every time I turn it on now, oh my God, it was the same as same story, same freaking narrative that's been projected, and I didn't miss anything. Right?
No.
So
it's just like a loop. It's like a loop, right?
It's got it.
It's logic loops. Yeah, it's
bad news all the time. So
there's no difference. So I thought, why even? But I do catch up with it just to see what they're broadcasting, literally, and yet I try to avoid all of that. So I think it's just, that's where we're going though, is broadcast signal and coherence. And then a lot of us are having to do lattice recalibrations, which is why I just felt like that came in, because that's something that we're all doing right now. And you may not call it that, you may not know it's that, but it is, because we have architecture. We have, believe it or not, we have our own internal architectures. Think of the architecture I said before, the dodecahedron, and then that's actually geometric. We are geometry. We are light. We are sound. We are color. We are vibration. We are frequency. We are all of it. So, and where does that come from? That actually gets developed or gets created from the highest dimensions, from God, source, light, divine, whatever you call that yourself. But whatever, that's all gets translated down from all those higher dimensions. It starts with the sound, it starts with the color, the vibration, the geometry, the shapes, the architecture, and then it finally gets into us. We are living architecture. And nobody thinks of it that way, but we are. We're like our own little pillars, and everyone's is unique and different. So that's why we're fine-tuning that right now. It's dialing each one of us as a pillar and what are your own unique architecture or light codes. You can say it that way. What little light codes are running in, Teresa and Rhonda and myself, and then all of you. Y'all have different light codes running. So that means that makes you unique. It makes us all, we're all whole, right? We're all the same in terms of unifying our field, that unity field where we come into harmony. That's what we're going back to, really, is that unified field. But in the sense that we all have unique codes, we all have different codes, we all have different things that we offer to people in this world. That's why we have the variety. So it's super important to know what your frequency codes are, though, because otherwise you're just stumbling and bumbling around in this life trying to get by, but not really knowing how to, project yourself or how to manifest what you need, or, those kind of things, because you're not using your own gifts to the highest expansion and potential that you are to use them here. Okay. We talked about lessons, right? But we also have gifts here,
Yeah.
and they're unique. And if you're not tapped into them, you're not utilizing them, that's a problem, right? So that's one of my sessions, is my starseed alignment sessions, my
Ooh,
3 phase. Well, I have a intradimensional starseed alignment sessions. They are 3 phases, and the first phase is really a giant download of all of your soul origins from galactic, angelic, and elemental, like
Ooh,
where you came
exciting.
from, what you're doing in those roles, what you have, your mission and your purpose. We cover that. I do go into past lives as well. I will tap into what you were doing, where you were, and how that relates, and just intuitively what's coming in, so that you can learn more about your codes, right? So you can actually figure out, if, especially people that are lost and not sure what they're supposed to do on this planet, or lost their purpose or mission, or confused about it. So that's kind of my phase 1. And then that's the phase 2 and 3 are all light language. Well, the phase 2 is a light language clearing. I go through all of your chakra systems with light language and with sound, and, just scan and do clearings on that. And then that's more of a clearing. And then the phase 3 is kind of the upgrade. So we go up from there. And so that's kind of my signature sessions, I guess. But I do also have transitional soul recalibration sessions. That is when people are going through transitions and they just want, help with, that can be more of an open-ended type of session. So it's for people just going through basically anything, but transitions, and we go through what's going on, what you're stuck on, and kind of move through it. So, some of my sessions are existing sessions. I already have them, and those are like very specific for that. It's almost like triage, what are you going through? Oh my God. Okay. We need to fix, we need to know what's going on. And then, and try to help you get back on a path, So there's a lot of confusion, a lot of, this identity vertigo people are going through. Those are perfect sessions for that kind of thing that I do already have. And like I said, I'll be doing some new different types of sessions that are going to be really, really great. So, I think people should definitely, follow me on, I'd say the best place is when I put out new things is going to be on social media, like either my Facebook page or my Instagram page or something like that, because you can get on my mailing list, but email is not reliable anymore. I got to tell you, it is. I got to tell you, for anyone that runs like anything on an email list, where you have an email list and you send it out, you see how many people that don't get it, because it goes into their spam box or whatever. And now all the email providers are gotten so strict on the bounces. If your email bounces, like maybe they're temporary, it could be a soft bounce, but if it goes like their server's down or something like that and it bounces, it could be a totally valid email, but it goes against your own, reputation or whatever of sending. So they're getting really, really strict. And so I don't know, sometimes I feel like email is a challenge, to get through to the inboxes now. So it's like you can sign up for it, but you may, for whatever reason, may not get the email about something that I send out that's like important.
Better to check you out on Facebook or
Instagram, or if I do, and it's something YouTube channel, I will put out something too on there, but my community page on my YouTube channel also, I post all of those places. Now, I'm not posting every single day like people. I just can't keep up with that. That's crazy. No. So, but there's times I try to post like once a week or sometimes twice a week, depending on what's happening. And that's always the best place to find out, of what's going on.
And then you have your web page as well.
Go to my website. Yeah, my website, lightstarcreations.com. And you'll always find it if you go to the shop page at the top, and then it'll have a list of like, I've categorized I redid this. This is another thing I did last year. I fully redid the way that my website instead of it being like a store kind of thing. I mean, it is, but it's like, I made it into 3 pages: stabilize, decode, and then what was the other one? Stabilize, decode, and anchor, rebuild and anchor. Those are 3 separate pages. So although my main shop page has it listed out on what's on the stabilize page, what's on the decode page, and what's on, so that it's grouped into that, because I felt like that's kind of how people are, whether they need to stabilize themselves, then what do they need to decode, which is a lot of my oracle decks, my moon,
Yeah.
Light book is on there, like things that are like, so that's all the decode. And then the rebuild and anchor, things like my Firefly membership, which I have. My Firefly membership is great because you guys just got to join that. It's got every month you get a light language pulse from me and an audio pulse, and you also get these sigils that I made, like seasonal, like kind of thing.
Neat.
It's monthly, so you get like a sigil that comes, and that's every month basically. And there's other things in there I give to, members, like special discounts and offers and everything. And then once you get into the audio, you get an RSS feed, so you can listen to the audios, with whatever you want in the RSS feed. And there's a lot of other things on there, so go check that out too. So I kind of have some things for everybody. My digital downloads, I have so many things, and music, music.
I love it.
Just so many things to offer as supplemental, frequency tools, really.
Yeah.
To help you, and my artwork, as well as also anchors. So, and also, if people want to like work with me, I also, when they're in the session, I will, recommend certain things for them, because I have so many different things that, some people are like, I don't even know what I need. So that's a good time to find out like what it is that could help you specifically, rather than just randomly trying to find something. I like to help people with dialing it in a little more that would really help them specific.
Yeah, save a lot of energy there too.
Yeah, it's great though. But I like having a variety of different things for people, and that's what, it's important to. I guess I didn't anticipate doing that, but I just, like I said, I'm a creator being, so I just have to keep creating.
Yeah, and so wherever they're at in their journey, whatever part of it, there's something there for them. And
it's there's something for everyone, because I have like figured out a way to do the people that have no budget whatsoever, and just like small, like $11 items, just really small, to like the middle to the higher tiers. So there is something for everyone. And my sessions are profound, and my work is, I know it shifts, it transmits and it shifts. I've seen it. I know it. I have confidence in that. And this is not like I'm trying to sell you guys on that, really. I'm just saying I've been through a lot of years of, kind of doing this, and creating, and whether or not people buy it or not, I still feel like it shifts the world. You know what I mean? Like, even if I put it out, I still feel like there's some energy beacon that still goes out there, even if nobody buys something. But I feel like it's just part of who I am, the frequency. And now it's only going to get stronger from here.
Oh yeah.
So
Stronger, clear, everything.
Isn't that wonderful? All these beautiful energies coming through. I'm so excited about all this. Thank you for what you've brought through for us today and what you've shared. I have actually got 5 pages of notes I got to decipher.
That's so awesome.
It's like a Lightstar University here.
Yeah. You just had a lecture by Lightstar, and it's awesome. And
But it's like Rhonda said, we could watch the rerun, or you know what I mean.
The replay and the
replay.
podcast is always there, so you can listen to it anytime as well as always on our YouTube. So we'll be up for a long time. So
I thank you guys too. You guys are amazing, and I've just been so just blessed to have been on your show a couple times, because I've been on here on the past, and I really appreciate you. You guys have such amazing energy. I mean, it's, there's a lot of people that do these kind of things, but I really you guys have the heart, the heart that shows, that you can feel. And I've always appreciated that about all of you. And thank you for your time and energy and effort for all these years of putting on this great content. And I know everyone out there who watches you guys really just appreciates that so much. And I'm just really grateful. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate
And happy
that.
Mother's Day weekend out there too for everybody.
Yeah, happy Mother's
Yeah.
Day.
I'm sure you guys, Mother's Day out there, all the mothers, all the moms. I would say happy Mom's Day to mine because she's not here. You know, all of
Yeah,
us that are,
happy Mom's Day to all mine in
even
heaven.
though they don't care anymore, right? They're like, I don't care. I'm not even here anymore. But you're like, happy Mom's Day. They're like, what does that mean to me anymore? You know, it's kind of funny.
I like that.
But still, it's really great. And thank you for everything you do for the world too. You guys have changed.
And you too. That's awesome. We're all little beacons of light.
Little but light bulbs.
Yeah, little light.
I love it. And I love how we all come together and encourage each other and how we lift each other up.
Yeah.
You know, in timely ways that is like, wow, that's a miracle in its own.
Yeah,
And I appreciate that, you know. So
yeah, and I look forward to our after thing too, right?
yes, I was just going to get to that. You're so intuitive.
Yeah.
The series continues. We got one more to go. Part 4 is Laura Hofsford, and she's bringing through the energy of the Magdalene Rose and unleashing the divine power. And she's bringing in like the divine masculine and divine feminine. I think divine prince, or I can't remember the way that came out, but that was so cool. But it doesn't even end. After Laura's episode, we're going to have a party. It says, after the voice of the divine feminine unleashed, we gather inside something sacred. And it's called the Temple of Her Voice. And if you've seen the picture yet, if not, you know, there's a link, you know, that we have here. And Olive Grove overlooks the sea, and it's the Mediterranean Sea down there. And there's rose bushes all around, a circle of souls seeking the divine feminine within, a space where conversation softens and something deeper begins. All 4 of the speakers will be there together live to share and to connect with you in real time, because you all are invited to this. And it's a space for a real connection, for real reflection. And there's a bonus. There are temple offerings. It's a collection of intentional gifts from each speaker and from us too. So join us inside the Temple of Her Voice Sunday, May 17th at 1:30 Eastern, and the link will be in there. And it's beautiful. It'll take away an experience that you'll be glad you had.
Yeah, thank you for doing this, because I know you said it's something new you haven't done, and
Yes.
it's going to be nice to share. I think that's really important for us to kind of gather and share and just be, you know. And
I
think
can't
that's
wait,
really great.
because you've seen the picture, right? The beautiful. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I fell in love with it because this came
It's
right
really
out of my
pretty.
heart. This is a place I go to when I meditate, and it's
Beautiful.
I can't believe, one, that it came out like that, but number 2, we get to be inside of it. It's not just a background picture. We get to sit inside of it. And, you know, I'm going to be feeling that breeze coming off the sea. And, you know, I'm going to be all into this. So it's going to be fun.
Oh my God. You know, I have to say, the brain does not know any difference when I have to tell you this, because sometimes this is something that happened when, you know, those things on YouTube that you watch, that's either the ocean or maybe there's some magical thing, you know, whatever. And I've sat in front of the beach, like just say, because we don't have a beach here, right? So I've sat in front of that thing with the ocean and just like sitting, and my body does not know the difference. I mean, yes, you can't smell the air, but if you like actually even sit there and feel like you can, you know, but there's something that it does for you, even if it's virtual, like it's like your brain just feels like it hears it and it goes, oh, ocean, you know, and like your whole body just starts to shift.
That's the frequency, right?
Yeah. It knows. It like knows and it remembers. So I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be nice.
Thank you. Thank you. It's going to be fun.
Thank you so much again. And we'll see you guys next week. Take care.
Looking forward to more. Mwah.
Bye. I'll put this in there.
This is a view